What is innovation? Innovation is the process of making changes to existing products, services, or processes to create something new and improved. Innovation and creativity are two concepts that are often used interchangeably, but they have distinct meanings. Creativity is the process of generating new ideas, while innovation is the process of turning those ideas into reality. Innovation requires creativity, but it also requires problem-solving skills and a willingness to take risks. It involves taking an idea and making it better or more efficient in some way. In other words, innovation is the application of creative thinking to solve problems or create something new.
Hey, what's going on, loungers? Welcome back to The Supply Chain, the only show on YouTube helping resellers get into replenishables. So today we're going to come back to the digital whiteboard. Now, in season 1, I taught you guys the 4 lenses of scrutiny. And basically, this is my framework of how to research any product in any niche. This is exactly what needs to be done and how much to do so you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, and yet you have enough data in order to move forward. Then this over here is a flow chart of how viable business works. But before we do that, today, what we're going to focus on is my 6 points of innovation. This is 6 points of innovation that pretty much covers everything humanly possible under the sun of what you must do in order to increase the value of the item that you are trying to offer. So basically, understanding a USP is all about the crossover between what your brand does well and what the consumer wants. When this overlaps, this is the winning area in the Venn diagram. So let's go over the 6 points of innovation. Basically, what I have for you over here is the new invention, the Frankenstein, simplicity, design, positioning, and natural progression. So let's go over each one first. The first one about new innovation here. The pro is that you are creating something entirely different. So definitely you're going to stand out amongst the crowd. The problem is sometimes it's so different that people may not understand it. So the con is the biggest challenge is that if your invention isn't immediately intuitive, it can require extensive education and marketing to make consumers understand its value. So basically, if people can't understand it immediately, this is probably more of a back burner item to come back when you have more capital to spare on educating the public rather than your starting item. So the next one is going to be the Frankenstein innovation. This is my favorite innovation. This is basically the idea of combining existing innovations into a new product or solution can be a quick and easy way to enter the market. So basically, you could create like these best of both world items, right? What you do is that when you apply the 4 lenses of scrutiny, you probably look at a lot of different items within the same niche. And then sometimes you could get a general consensus of like, okay, these are the top items, but then there are also other items that have these features. If I could combine these things so that they become a best of both worlds, maybe I could offer a best bang for the buck type of item. And that's always a really good USP to offer. So the downside is that it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking your idea is unique when it might not be. You might simply be combining existing ideas in a way that's already been done, which could limit your market potential. So you definitely need to do your homework first, right? To see if this has already been done. If not, then yeah, we could probably move forward with something like that. So the next one is the simplicity innovation. This is basically, making something a little more streamlined, a little more simplistic. If you ever had a piece of software and then they came out with the light version of it, this is pretty much it. So focusing on simplicity often appeals to customers who are looking for ease and functionality. Sometimes people don't want to pay so much for like all the bells and whistles. So if you could figure out, okay, what are the deal makers and what are the deal breakers, as well as what is, could do without, then maybe you could take those things out in order to reduce the price. And now we have a simplicity version. Let's move on to design. Design is probably one of the simplest things. It's also easy to copy. So that's basically the only con that's really there. But design and innovation are things where you see something where it's really the design that makes all the difference. For example, one of my main items that you guys know is my car seat covers. Well, car seat covers, I mean, how many ways is there to cover a seat other than directly slipping over and covering the seat, right? So what makes my edge over others is that I have a better design than other people. When I first started off making my own seat covers, I already had a Pimp My Ride type of store. So I knew the designs, I knew the color combinations that people were already paying thousands of dollars for a custom setup. So making a universal one for the masses was just way too easy. All I had to do was just choose my most popular designs in the most popular color combinations, and I'm ready to go. So let's move on to positioning. Positioning is great. A lot of people don't consider positioning because sometimes you don't even have to change the item. It's all about marketing it over to another category. So positioning is a quick and cost-effective way to rebrand or shift a product into a new category. So when you think of certain items such as wet wipes, okay, so Huggies made baby wipes, and then they also had feminine wipes. But then as we position it over for men, they became dude wipes. So there's your product positioning right there. As we come back and then finally tackle the last one, it is natural progression. Natural progression makes the most sense, actually. This is an area where the pro of it is that it relies on applying proven strategies from one market to another. So for instance, when you think about one market and another market, such as fishing, you have tackle boxes, and then jewelry, you have jewelry boxes. It only makes sense that if you are in a new industry, you're going to need some kind of organization box. So those are generally your natural progressions. And those are the things that you definitely want to hop on ASAP the moment that you realize it, because if you don't, someone else obviously will. So these are the things that you definitely want to get your foot in the door first. However, this type of innovation requires a deep understanding of other industries or markets, not just your own. So when you are spread out between like all sorts of industries, you're always looking at different stuff, you're getting more experience doing this, you'll start to notice these cracks and opportunities that are there. So what was innovated in this industry sometimes is transferable to another industry, and that will get your foot in the door. So today, we're going to spend a little bit time on a Frankenstein innovation that I have myself for today's item spotlight. All right, guys, so for this episode of The Supply Chain, we have something very special on the item spotlight. And this is an item that's very near and dear to me because it's something that I was trying to develop. But you know, I currently have too many projects going on at the same time, so I'm kind of spread thin. But when I initially saw this item, it really got the gears turning. So I did most of the legwork of all of the thought process. So if anybody is interested in running with this project, definitely hit me up. So let me share exactly what the idea was. You guys have ever heard of something called the bed scrunchie? If not, then let me go ahead and play that video for you guys.
And I'm Jack.
And we invented the bed scrunchie to help you get your sleep back. It's so easy.
Just clip it to your sheet, place the sheet on the bed, then pull to tighten.
Bed Scrunchie's magic fit draw cord easily secures any bedsheet to any mattress,
locking it in for that perfect 5-star hotel fit.
Okay, so basically that's what the bed scrunchie is. It's some type of bed sheet holder. So that made me want to go ahead and deep dive bed sheet holder and what the landscape looks like. So when I pull up Jungle Scout, this gets a high demand with low competition of 8. Now, there is all sorts of solutions for bed sheet holders. So they have this kind, which is the plastics that go around the corners, and then this one goes around the sides. And then they also have these corner suspender types, and then they also have ones that go cross for the bed sheet itself. Now, here's the thing. I thought to myself, this is kind of annoying because I purchased one that kind of looks like this one, and see, here's the thing. In my household, we change the bed sheets every single week. And when we do this, we kind of want to remove the bed sheets in the morning, wash it, and then have the bed sheets back on before mid-afternoon. So essentially, I have to go through this process every single time and remove the suspenders, put the suspenders back on, because I don't want this thing tumbling in my dryer. So there's got to be a better way. When I really think about what the bed scrunchie even is, basically, you're adding the drawstring capability to the bed sheet itself. Well, why don't we just integrate a drawstring into the bed sheet? I mean, have you ever had drawstring pants before? It's pretty much the same principle, isn't it? So it made me want to look around the landscape. So I wanted to check out bed sheets itself and also do a quick jungle scout on this area. So when I jungle scout here, it says high demand, high competition. So this is an opportunity score 4, but the bed sheet holders is an opportunity score of 8. So I'm willing to bet if we could come up with some kind of fitted sheet that already has this incorporated into it, it could do pretty decent. So lo and behold, I found this one company that sells fitted bed sheets, right? And they did exactly that. They have the drawstring incorporated into the bed sheet. And this one is made out of cotton. So I thought to myself, okay, if I were to do this item, the problem is what colors and what sizes to do, because it comes in all of these sizes and all of these colors. Now, he only has 483 units sold. So that's not big enough of a sample size. So let me go check out what's happening over here. So I found that this was the #1 listing at 4.8 million a month revenue and 192,000 units sold every single month. But again, this guy's got pretty much all the colors over here, and then they have all the sizes as well. So this is going to get wild, right? I had to scroll down and then use the Keepa extension and then click variations. And then it shows me that the top 3 over here is in white in queen size. This one says dark gray in queen size, and then white again in king size, and then light gray in queen. So if I'm just going to do 2 colors to start off, I should do the white and I should do the dark gray based on this data. So now I have my sizes and now I have my colors in order to start off this venture. So another thing that I noticed is that the material here is polyester. And the title up top says comfy, breathable, and cooling sheets. And I remember that, like, wow, that's kind of like a big deal, right? A lot of people are hot sleepers and they're looking for methods to keep the bed cool. So you see where I'm going with this? Let's do the Frankenstein method here, right? Let's put together a sheet that is cooling. And then also, when you think about polyester, people want to avoid the microplastics. So first I asked, what can cooling sheets be made of? And then they say cooling sheets are made of like bamboo, viscose, eucalyptus, linen. Those things are more of the cooling stuff. So I went with lyocell. I said, is lyocell a good choice for avoiding microplastics? Yes, lyocell is an excellent choice for avoiding microplastics. It is a plant-based semi-synthetic fiber made from wood pulp. So now I have a natural fiber that has no microplastics, and then it could be positioned as a cooling sheet for hot sleepers. And it also has the drawstring capability. So I think now I could put together an item like this in queen size, white, dark gray, and then launch it to market. And I think we have a pretty good fighting chance here. So I wanted to add one more thing on top of this, which is because people are hot sleepers, they probably sweat a lot. So therefore, I looked at some kind of liner and I found a really good liner over here that I think we could bundle together with. So this thing says that it is a solid color, moisture absorbent, breathable, antibacterial, thickened 12 millimeter latex cooling fitted bed sheet mats bed sheet. So why don't I offer a couple of combinations, right? Whether you buy this in the white or in the dark gray, it bundles with the light gray, or you could just buy the sheet. So you could buy the sheet, or you could buy the bundle of the sheet plus this latex liner underneath. I really like how it even has its own binded edge over here to give it even more definition. So basically, that is my item pick of the week. It's not so much an item pick, but more exactly of how I develop something, how I draw ideas from stuff. So basically, look, it's just a combination of being a product developer for a long time and using some of your intuition, some of your base knowledge, whatever you know in this world, and dwelling on it, spending more time on it. So when ideas hit you, they hit you like lightning. So this is my item spotlight for this particular week. Now, coming back to our whiteboard here, I wanted to share with you guys exactly what a flowchart of a sustainable business is supposed to look like. So what are we specifically doing here on the supply chain? We're trying to build a product business in tangible goods e-commerce. So this is exactly how we begin. We start with strategically innovated an idea, right? Having a USP. So we're going to use the 4 lenses of scrutiny to deep dive and research things that we're interested in, and then also use my 6 points of innovation to find which points of innovation that we can add to the item in order to create something of more value to offer into the marketplace. So this is your first step. And then afterwards, we want to do our best to try to minimum order quantity. We got to find some way to order the minimal amount in order to reduce risk. But honestly, when you start off with a well-researched item, you have already significantly reduced a lot of risk, especially with all of the tools that we use from Keepa and Jungle Scout and watching the supply chain series. So then we want to execute and prepare the listing and then start to sell this item. And then we monitor the sales performance. Now, here's the thing. Once we do this, there's only 3 possible outcomes: the desirable outcome, the less than desirable outcome, and then finally the bad outcome. The desirable outcome is everything as we predicted and things are going smoothly and we're starting to get strong sales. Definitely strong green signals. Keep going, keep going. The less than desirable outcome, yeah, okay, it's selling and it's not moving as fast as we want it to, but maybe if we give it a little time that it could start picking up, or it might not pick up at all. And then we should probably just leave it alone and then let it phase out, get our money back and then try again. And then there's the bad outcome. The bad outcome is unlikely to happen because if you do what I did, where I just showed you the whole idea with the bed scrunchie and then making a whole bed sheet brand product line out of it, it should work because it's a combination of all of these things that people are specifically looking for. So the bad outcome, very unlikely to happen unless you're just blindly picking up stuff, right? So when this happens, you would simply do what you got to do, lower the price until you could color out and then recoup as much money and then try again. But again, what we show here on the supply chain series, highly unlikely this would happen if you did your due diligence. So the idea is this: once you finally have an item built up, what happens now? You would go ahead and work on a second item. But when you work on the second item, you have one core item that's already established as your winner that is selling for you. So the other one that you're working on, that's the one that you're adopting risk, while you have another one that's steadily selling. So the risk of the items that you're trying in this business now, you're at 50%. So when you have 2 developed items, your risk now drops to 33%. So I think you guys have already guessed it. When there's 4 items, the 4th item that you're working on, in terms of the items that you have established and the one that you are testing, so you're only testing at 25% risk to the company. By the time you're like me, where we have more than 20 items on 19 established items, and then you're working on your 20th item, what do you think the percentage risk would be? It would be at 5%. So this is exactly why this works, because as we're moving, as we're testing other items, you have success retention within your business model. So these things are continuing to pull the sled for you so that you can focus on developing the next core items. So this is the idea of the whole supply chain and why this business model works. So if any of you guys are interested in developing the bed sheets, then either book a call, and if you're already a Blueprint member, then come and find me on Discord.
Random.